Chris Boltendahl of Gravedigger. Welcome to 69 Face of Rock. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you very much. Early in the morning here. No, it's midday.
Really early in the morning here in Chicago. Anyways, tell me about the creation of your new album, The Bone Collector.
Yeah, we started more or less 1 year ago with the songwriting and writing the lyrics, everything. And yeah, our goal was to bring back the spirit of the era you're wearing the shirt, man.
That's right.
Yes. And to make a Gravedigger like a little bit like the vibe, the spirit of the 80s, bring back to the new Gravedigger album.
Mhm.
And yeah, with clear song structures and simple choruses. And yeah, the basic thing when we started with Gravedigger was drums, bass, guitar, and vocals.
Mhm.
Not these big choruses we did in the 90s with Tunes of War and Excalibur. So I think it's a very rough and typical Gravedigger album, The Bone Collector.
Mhm. I was actually going to ask you why the album has such strong 1980s vibe, but I clearly see it was intentional.
Yeah, because I think after nearly 45 years, uh, and you have some history, and a lot of people ask me in former interviews how you started with Gravedigger and everything. And then I made a home story with a very big German heavy metal magazine. And I took this guy to my hometown here in Germany. He met my father. My father is now 96 years old. And we discussed a lot of things. And then I felt all this vibe for my hometown where we started with Gravedigger. And I think the new album it not sounds like in the 80s, but it has this typical, yeah, 80s vibe. And that was the main target, what we have in mind. Throw all the ballast over and start with when we started with Gravedigger.
I can totally relate to that because I do remember when your first album came out. I was, what, 15 years old. I lived in Poland back then. I saw that album cover and it just spoke to me. So
Okay.
I know I liked the band prior to even hearing a first note. And when I heard the first note, here we are, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, you also have a new guitar player, right? Tobias Kersting. So what do you think Tobias brings into the band?
This guy is totally old school. He's a real fan. He loves Running Wild. He loves Rage. He loves also Gravedigger. And I picked him up for my solo album uh,
Mhm.
uh, uh, 3 years ago when we started with the Steelhammer thing, Chris Boltendahl Steelhammer. And I saw that he is really in this old school heavy metal stuff.
Mhm.
And when Axel Ritt left the band 2 years ago, I thought, hey, this guy fits very well to Gravedigger. So, and he asked him, and he joined as fast as he. I never heard such a very fast yes.
All right, well, that's a commitment.
And I think at the beginning of the year, we were on this 70,000 tons of metal, this metal cruise in the Caribbean island. And anyway, where you are sitting there uh, in the breakfast or you have dinner in the evening, there's always heavy metal around you. And every time when I didn't know any the sound or the artist, which on the speaker there, I asked Toby, hey, yes, 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 it's this and this band. He knows everything. He has a huge collection of vinyls and CDs, and that's great.
Mhm. What songs are you particularly excited about from Bone Collector?
Oh, nearly every.
Or which song will you be playing live?
We play live when we start in January with the tour. We play Kingdom of Skulls,
Mhm.
and next week we release the next single. It's The Devil's Serenade. This is one of my favorite ones because it's a typical stadium rock and roll or gravedigger metal song. and we play also Killing Is My Pleasure.
Hmm. And what subject matters are you writing about these days?
Pardon, son? Sorry?
What are the songs about nowadays?
It's we have some social criticism like the rich, the poor, the dying, or the typical gravedigger horror stories, cliche stories like Kingdom of Skulls or the Graveyard Kings, some ironic stuff. But we have also some serious things like Whispers of the Damned. This is a song about the commander of the concentration camp in Auschwitz because he's living beside this concentration camp. And when he goes to his job from 9 to 5, killing people in the gas chambers and everywhere there, and then going home and playing with his children and cooking with his wife and everything. So this is totally weird, that a guy can split that such, yeah, in this way.
Yeah,
Or, yeah, or Killing Is My Pleasure is a song about Robert Kuklinski. He was a mass murderer in the order of the mafia. He has his nickname was the Iceman because he was so brutal. And he also went out. He has three children and a wife, and he went out in the morning, and everybody thought he's selling insurance. And then he's going out, killing people, coming back, and have dinner with his wife. And so these guys are totally weird. And sometimes for me, it's interesting the what's behind that. And then I start writing lyrics about it.
that's some deep psychology. Now, Bun Collector comes out 40 years after Heavy Metal Breakdown. At this point, you are the only original member left. So, how much of the original spirit is still there in Gravedigger within those 40 years?
100%, because as long as I'm the singer of Gravedigger, you will notice there are 100 records, and you can listen to 100 records and you will say, wow, this is Gravedigger. And I think that is the main point.
I could not agree more. Um, what about yourself? How did you change in those 40 years?
Oh, I think I changed a lot from a drunken rock star to a serious rock star. I stopped drinking 24 years ago. I had a great time with alcohol and smoking weed the whole day. It was really fun. But after 20 years, my wife said, "Oh, hey, Chris, you can choose me or your drugs." And then I told her, "Okay, you are so important in my life," and I stopped everything and start playing golf. And yes, and nowadays I'm a serious businessman, also an artist because I'm doing all the management for Gravedigger. I have my own studio. I'm working in the studio also for other bands. So yeah, my day is full like a businessman with an artist attitude.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Now, are there any plans to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Heavy Metal Breakdown?
Yeah, we will do some old school shows next year in some special places. Also, it's a big Wacken open air, and where we have also a guest called Uwe Lulis, a former guitar player. He will join us there on stage. And yeah, we will play in some special shows. We will play old school stuff, a lot of songs from the Reaper album or Heart of Darkness. And that is fun. We celebrate this also this year in very less shows where we play a lot of the Reaper album. And we saw it's really fun.
And when you think back, what was it like at the beginning of the band when you first got your record deal, which was not as easy to get back then?
Yeah, that was a dream came true at this time. When you start doing music, the main target was get a record deal, so many chicks as you can have, you know, so many alcohol which fits to the fridge, yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, we followed that dream, and it was we have so many highs and lows also in our career. And more or less, when I split from a guitar player, there was something with Uwe in the past. There was some shit, and now with Axel Ritz, there was also some shit. But anyway, we are always looking forward, And we also wrote two new songs for the next Gravedigger album, which will be released in 2027. And we have plans, a lot of plans, a lot of shows next year.
So you don't see yourself stopping anytime soon?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Only the coffin can stop me.
That's a good way of looking at it. Now, when you reflect back, what do you think people liked about Gravedigger? Like, why, how, what was it? What kind of ingredients was there in the band that allowed the people to follow you for so many years?
I think it's the straight heavy metal we play. We don't do this melodic stuff, at the end. Sometimes we are a little bit melodic, but normally we are straight in your face. And I think that's the reason also that we never get this huge success, like a Halloween. We do not this tra-la-la heavy metal. Oh, da, 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 you know. We are more like like a rough like Saxon or other bands like Judas Priest, and not like this really high octane melodic singers. I have a strange voice, and I think that people love it or hate it, and there is nothing in between. And that is the reason why we never had this big success, but we have so much success that we can survive. So that's good.
Yeah, you mentioned your voice. It's definitely like a signature sound for the band. When did you realize that you have something that special?
Uh, in the moment when I start singing, because I never was from the beginning. I don't was I didn't was a singer of Gravedigger. I was a bass player.
Mhm.
And then Peter Massong, the first guitar player, lost his voice, and then I said, okay, I start singing, and singing this way. I don't know how it came up, and yeah, and then the main point was that I couldn't play bass and sing to the same time,
Mhm.
and then I decided only to sing, and we got a bass player, So
When
never had any lessons or something.
got it. And when it comes to singing, who are your influencers, your idols when it comes to vocals?
It's very funny. My first big idol was David Lee Roth.
The
I
best
love
one
Van
for our
Halen.
lives?
Do you see? There's Eddie in behind me, watching me all the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, I do see it.
And I was the biggest Van Halen only from Mark One, from this first lineup with David Lee Roth, and I saw them 5 times live in my career. So I was the biggest Van Halen fan, and what's also Rob Halford. 2 years ago, I met Rob at Wacken Open Air, and we had the backstage room side by side, and when I saw him, I said, "Hey, Rob, are you do me a favor?" I said, "Hey, yeah, I know you are the singer of Gravedigger." And I said, "What? This guy knows me because I told you, Rob, when I was young, I was in the first row in the first Judas Priest shows here in Germany, touching your fucking boots and screaming, Rob, Rob." And he laughed his ass off, and we had a great time. We made some cool pictures there. A very nice guy. And yeah, I, anyway, I'm a fan from from the beginning. When I started making music, I also was a fan. And I think that's the reason why when I'm on stage, I have this very good understanding also for the fans,
Mhm.
because I'm the biggest metal fan ever. Because I always, when the doors opened, I ran into the first row, standing there. I remember when and it was in 79 or in 80. I don't know. It was the first Van Halen show. There was as a support here in Germany with Black Sabbath. And I was in the first row, and I always cried, "Hey, give me a pick!" This guitar plectrude. And Michael Anthony throw after every song he throw it to me, and I got, I think, 15 picks of Michael Anthony, and I was like the kids I hate in the moment when I'm on stage, yeah, and they scream, "Hey, give me a pick," and I was the strongest in this way. So I love to be on stage. I love to be in front of stage. So I had great memories there.
Those are wonderful memories. Chris, you also produced a new album. So what vision did you have in mind while producing?
I think that I know very well what the band like to sound,
Mhm.
and we recorded a long time in the principal studios here in Germany. And this guy is also a good friend. But during Corona, I start exercising here a lot of in my own studio, a lot of stuff, and discuss it with my friend from the big studio. And yeah, I had this vision. And if you rent a studio, you only have a limited time, So you have your amount of money you can spend there, and then you have to start from a point zero to 100% in 4 weeks, for example. No?
Mhm.
And then your money is gone. And now when I'm producing in my own studio, I have so much time and can do it all the day. And it's so easy and changing things and immediately, no discussions. So I can do it the way I want. And now this time we made a lot of sound checks with the guitar, bass, and drums also. So it's the best way for me to work now.
That makes sense. What is the meaning of the title Bond Collector? Is there a special concept behind it?
Yeah, it's a synonym because we have the Reaper, our mascot, which is on nearly every album cover. But we have the Reaper album, we have the Return of the Reaper album, and I don't want to call the new one Out of the Coffin, the Reaper is back or something like that. So we gave him a new name, and now he's a bone collector.
That makes sense. Um, Besides Gravedigger, you also have another band called Steelhammer. How did this come about?
Yeah, that was also after Corona thing because I thought it's a good idea to make some kind of solo album because I have a couple of ideas which are not very well to Gravedigger. So I contact some guys, also Toby as a guitar player, and yeah, we recorded this one. There's nothing special behind. It's only some kind of solo stuff, and yeah, we are happy with the result. And a lot of people said, "Oh, this is a sound like Gravedigger should sound now." And but I say, I think it's different. I think Steelhammer was more power metal. Gravedigger is really classic heavy metal, like we played here in Germany.
Mhm. I was very surprised by that Midnight Oil cover at the end of that album.
That is one of my favorite on this album. When I was in a car, half of the life of my life I'm spending in a car, driving to shows and somewhere else. And I'm a big Midnight Oil fan, and said, "Oh, wow, this could be a very
Great
cool
song.
heavy metal version, you know?"
And the song we're talking about is Beds Are Burning, of course, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it would be a cool cover version for Steelhammer, and that is one of my favorite ones. I love this song.
It came out great. Will there be any more recordings from Steelhammer?
Let's see. We started with some stuff already, but in the moment I have so many interviews, I don't have an open mind, to create something new. And we have to wait. We have to see how his Gravediggers working. We have so many shows next year, and I don't know if we start next year again with a new Gravedigger album. No ideas in the moment. We will see.
Finally, what are your touring plans for this album, and will it include coming to United States?
Uh, we had a more or less a tour, an agency who booked a tour for us in the States so far, but at the end it came up that it's too expensive, too stressy, not well organized, and we have to say no to that. But never say never. But Europe and South America, we start by beginning of January, and then we have nearly 40 shows. I think it will be more and more coming up till the end of next year. So we are very busy.
Mhm. One other thing is, I mean, you've done so many records, um, so many songs. How do you like reset yourself with the ideas to still stay fresh?
I think it's a love to this kind of music. We love it, this music. And if you're a creative guy, you don't have to repeat yourself. So we have so many ideas, some good ideas, and so many riffs more in the pocket. So we can bring another couple of albums out so far.
That's great. And we're talking about Easily over 100, songs. How many of those do you think you remember if you were asked to sing?
Oh, I think 90%, 95%. Yeah. You want to try it?
Oh no, I have for it. Chris, thank you so much for taking your time and speaking with me, and good luck with the new album.
Thank you very much and have a nice day. A good Christmas time, yeah?
Thank you. You too.
Bye bye.